Hello and welcome back to another installment of Modern Wealth Management. I'm your host, Ryan Ruff. I've got Ray Kramer and Darrick Hutchins standing by. They'll be joining me momentarily. But look, hey, we want to thank you for finding your way back here to the show. If you're joining us this morning on the Facebook live stream, or if you're listening or watching to this after the fact on a different platform, all the same, happy to have you with us for another great conversation today. As I'm sure you know, each episode we dive into a different complex financial topic, usually pertaining to wealth planning as a whole, and as well as Darrick and Ray's dealings over there at Monon Wealth Management. But today we've got a really interesting topic lined up for you, and it's really all about the wealth manager specifically. What makes an elite wealth manager, that is, truly elite? We're going to be exploring those characteristics, those traits, those strategies that they should be implementing to make sure that you, our audience, the consumer, is making the right decision on the wealth manager you are working with. So that being said, let's go ahead and bring Darrick and Ray out to get today's conversation started. Darrick, Ray, how you guys doing this morning? Good to see you.
Hey, it's great to see you, Ryan. We're always excited to do these shows, and fantastic to see you again.
Yep, well, good to see you. And I'm even on a little mini vacation in Milwaukee, but I'm glad to join us.
Dedication to the craft. I love it.
There we go.
Well, hey, guys.
Yeah. Cool thing about all this technology, right?
Right. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. We've got you guys. I think all three of us are in separate states at the moment. So great to see. Yep. Well, all right, guys. Hey, let's get rolling in on our conversation today. I think we've skimmed the surface of this before, but I like that today we're going to kind of take a deep dive on the wealth manager themselves. You guys, really. So, topic is elite wealth managers. What makes them truly elite? Let's start by first just acknowledging the fact that there are a lot of financial professionals, out there that call themselves elite or world class. How are people, the layman, the average consumer that's looking to pick a wealth manager, how are they supposed to go about unveiling whether or not this person, this wealth manager they're considering, truly walks the walk, talks the talk, lives up to that world class or that elite reputation that they claim to have? Darrick, I'll throw this one over to you to kind of get us rocking and rolling today.
Okay. Well, when we're approaching this topic, I think, Ryan, first and foremost, what we need to do is acknowledge wealth management. And clearly, there's a lot of advisors that want to put wealth management on their business cards, their websites, and so forth. It's an attractive sounding title, but in reality, you need more than a title and a desire to do well, to do a great job for your clients. To find an elite wealth manager, first and foremost, you got to make sure you're working with a wealth manager in the first place. So to to set that up, what we got to do is define what wealth management really is. And in our world, wealth management consists of three different aspects: investment consulting, advanced planning, and then relationship management. Unless you have all three of those parts, you're not fulfilling the first part of elite wealth management, which is wealth management as a starter.
Right. Ray, anything to chime in there?
Yeah, Darrick and I struggled for years on what do we call ourselves. If I look back at my stack of business cards that I've had going back almost 20 years, it said broker, it said investment consultant, it said financial advisor, it said manager, and investment executive. And for a long time, he and I talked about, like, what do we say we do when we meet somebody and you say, hey, I'm a financial advisor, and people immediately change the topic. But when you focus on the wealth management piece and make that the front and center, and it's not a coincidence that we named our firm Monon Wealth Management, is because that's what we started focusing on 7 years ago, where you put the client first. It's less about us, and wealth management encompasses all those things he talked about.
Right. So, guys, I'd like to take a deeper dive into those three elements, really, that Darrick had just mentioned. First and foremost, just investment management. What does this look like, when looking at the true wealth management approach?
Well, investment management is, I would say, the primary aspect of what people think of when they think of wealth management. Okay. Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, people think of us as in, managing their liquid investments. And I would say that most people who describe themselves as a wealth manager certainly play this role for their clients. Ray and I have helped clients with their investment allocations, their portfolios now for well over 20 years. Even before we were true wealth managers, this was a part of our role. When we're talking about investment management, what we're really talking about is helping people make good decisions with the money that they already have. And, there's some different parts of that. We employ a lot of different strategies and bring in even outside consultants to make sure that we're offering the best of the best as it relates to helping people make those good decisions with their investment dollars. But really most of it comes down to three different aspects. And certainly it starts off with asset allocation, and that's balancing risk and return by spreading the assets out across multiple different kinds of things, different asset classes. The second part of that is choosing good investment products. And sometimes we help our clients pick out individual stocks and bonds, but more often than not, we're helping our clients pick out great money managers who are real specialists in their specific aspects of the market. So I'm really interested, if I want to add technology stocks to a client's portfolio, I want to bring in the absolute best technology stock picker that we possibly can. And through some resources that we've brought in, we certainly have access to that. And then the last aspect of it is rebalancing. Rebalancing is so important. And that's just the acknowledgement that things move independent of one another. If we go back to March of 2020, we had just gone through the first month of COVID. We recognized that we were truly in a pandemic. And from the beginning of the month through the end of the month, stocks had dropped by about a third. While some people might have run from that, rebalancing forces us or gives us the opportunity, depending upon how you look at it, to use that as a buying opportunity and sell some things that maybe hadn't gone down over the course of that month and buy into those lower stock prices. But in my experience, almost all self-identified wealth managers provide investment management, and obviously some just do it better than others.
Ray, anything on this front?
Yeah, Darrick brought up a couple of good points. And one of my favorite things I tell people is in life, the stock market is the only thing that people don't like to buy when it's on sale. When we buy a car, when we buy a pair of jeans, we're always looking for a sale. And Darrick was right. If we go back a year ago when the thought of the world shutting down, including New York City, and I remember Darrick brought that up, I was like, you're crazy. We're never going to shut down New York City. The market was, it took a lot of soul searching, a lot of guts, but we realized look, this is a time to move some assets around, make some tweaks, and it really paid off well. And this is not something that we have a crystal ball, but having an active management strategy as opposed to what a lot of people are taught in the industry, including ourselves. And it took about 15 years for us to unwind this a little bit, is getting away from packaged products that I've seen advisors over the years, 5 minutes into a conversation, they're handing out portfolio information and investment slicks to say, hey, here's what I got, and focusing on what the YTB was, which is the yield to broker, and everything has been commoditized in our industry. So investment products, there's a million of them out there. So what we do is try to focus on providing the lowest cost and the best options in each category, and then by charging a management fee, we grow as the client grows. So it puts us all on the same side of the table as opposed to focusing on what we're making. And in the long run, that really pays off and helps us make better decisions.
Roger that. And guys, investment planning, yes, obviously plays a massive role in what you do, in terms of wealth management as a whole. But the other components that Darrick had mentioned earlier, basically what we're saying is investment planning alone isn't enough to get this job done properly, like the truly elite wealth managers do today. There has to be a wealth planning component of it as well that obviously factors in, the individual's goals, the relationship as a whole. Darrick, why don't you talk to me a little bit about this part of it too?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, in the hierarchy of people in our profession, I'd say it starts off as an investment advisor, then moves up to financial advisor, and then you get into wealth manager. And, at every step, you're helping the client make good decisions with their investment dollars. But at the level that a wealth manager, and certainly an elite wealth manager, is playing, you need to be helping with a lot more than just the investments. That I would almost say that that's table stakes at this level of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the work that Ray and I are working with our clients on is what we categorize as advanced planning. Some call it wealth planning. We call it advanced planning. And that's really where we are helping our clients mitigate the other risks in their life, proactively bringing them solutions to maybe problems that they don't even know that they have. And I know we're going to go into the different aspects of advanced planning and some of the different characteristics that involves, some of the different avenues that we play in there. But at a core, it's really the legal strategies and the financial products that bring along peace of mind and really the opportunity to move up the tier very quickly for many of our clients.
Sure. So I'd love to get into that, Darrick. You mentioned advanced planning as kind of the term that you and Ray utilize over at Monon. What do you mean by this? And, in terms of going beyond simply investing, walk me through what these avenues look like.
Yeah. So, the different avenues of advanced planning truthfully can be limitless, but usually we're talking about four main things. And the first one is what we call wealth enhancement. And wealth enhancement in our world is the mitigation of taxes. Everybody's got to pay taxes. We want our clients to pay the absolute least that they possibly can or legally obligated to.
Mm-hmm.
The second part is wealth transfer. Okay. And wealth transfer usually involves estate planning and helping you get your assets to the people and the things that you love the most when it's time for you to move on. Okay. And we don't care what your preference is as far as who you want your money to go to. We just want it to go as efficiently and as easily and as less taxed as it possibly can. The third aspect is really wealth protection, and that's helping our clients get their arms around the money that they've already accumulated and making sure that it can never be taken from them unjustly. In today's world, we like to sue each other, okay? And so one of the things that Ray and I work on really hard is to make sure that a client who's already won in life never has to give that money up, maybe because of a lawsuit or even a divorce. Those are the two things that really cause people a lot of money. The last aspect of advanced planning is charitable tax planning. The tax code, it really fosters philanthropy. And there's some different avenues that clients can take to really magnify their charitable gifts to whatever extent they're charitable. That's not our choice, but once we identify that a client is charitable, we want to magnify that for their benefit as well as the benefit of the charity. In reality, there's a lot of different specialties out there. and some of them cross different paths, and we might be able to, for example, estate planning may fall into the category of both tax and wealth transfer. So, some of these things cross paths. And then obviously for some of our clients, they have needs and issues that are outside of this scope, whether it's taking a look at, different doctors and introducing them to different medical practices. There's other things around this advanced planning, but those are the four major ones.
And Ray, I know this is a pretty robust process. What do you see on your end of this?
I want to focus on one area that Darrick touched on, but it touches on almost all four areas he discussed, which is taxes. Lately, every single conversation I'm having revolves around taxes. And if we look at the average retiree right now, for every retiree who's got $1 million, chances are 80% of it is pre-tax dollars. So how do you unwind that? How do you keep those tax dollars most efficiently within your family as opposed to going back to the government? The RMD rules have changed over the past year. Where beneficiary, you can delay your RMD by another year and a half, but your beneficiaries then have to pay taxes within 10 years instead of stretching it over their life. And most retirees today, or pre-retirees, they forfeited the pension and now they've got the 401k. So it's a big tax issue. And whether they're looking at doing a Roth conversion to make things tax-free, gifting money to kids, gifting to charity, a lot of it revolves around the taxes, and everybody's afraid taxes are going to go up. We keep spending money as a country. We have an idea where it's coming from, but who knows? But we're doing a lot of spending, and do we expect tax rates to go up or down? And the consensus is tax will eventually go up. So Darrick and I take this to heart on really looking at these IRAs, and our amount of Roth conversions over the past couple of years have gone way up and will only continue to do so. But that is probably the number one big thing. And we work along with our clients and their CPAs, whether it's a CPA we work with directly or not, but we will work with them to come up with the best strategy so that they don't have to try to figure it out themselves.
Got it. Guys, I love that you simplify it in that term advanced planning, because a lot goes under that umbrella. So I appreciate you walking us through that. And that really, what that all tells me as a consumer is that that's what I should be looking for, really, to ensure that I am working with a competent wealth manager, somebody that walks the walk, talks the talk. But if I'm the layman and I'm looking for the truly elite wealth manager, and this kind of brings me to my fifth question here, what should I be looking for? What do I want to find in a wealth manager that is at that quote unquote elite level? What's that look like?
Well, as you remember, Ryan, there were three parts to being a wealth manager. Mm-hmm. There was the investment management, the advanced planning, and then the third part, which we called relationship management. We've also, in previous some of these conversations, we've called it the human element. You see, having the relationship with the client and really understanding who they are, what they want, what they value, and why that's so important to them is really the secret sauce. Mm-hmm. That's what helps a wealth manager become elite. There isn't any product or financial strategy that's out there today that is unique to any one advisory group. Every stock, every bond, every mutual fund, every ETF, every tax strategy is more readily available today than at any other point in my career. Mm-hmm. The thing that clients get from an elite wealth manager, and the thing that makes an elite wealth manager, is sitting on the same side of the table as the client, looking at the world of opportunities from the client's perspective and being able to handpick those opportunities as they fit into the client's situation. And if you don't have, if a wealth manager does not have a great relationship professionally and oftentimes very personally with the client, you're just not going to understand what the best strategies are and where those opportunities can fit in.
So, Darrick, and I would imagine it's probably safe to say that this is just not the case with all wealth managers these days to really incorporate that human element. They're just maybe looking at the products and services that they can offer.
Unfortunately, you're 100% correct. Okay. What I just described to you, which is really, viewing the world from the client's eyes after you really have a relationship built with them and you understand who they are as people. Unfortunately, that is not the way that the majority of our industry handles things. Oftentimes in our business, you have people who come to the client with a specific product or a specific financial strategy. And kind of like if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, that's exactly the way that the majority of our industry views clients.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an annuity salesperson, everybody looks like an annuity prospect. And that's just not the way it should be.
And Ray, in terms of your personal experiences in developing these relationships with clients, where do you see this whole topic?
Yeah, this was one of the main reasons why Darrick and I broke away from corporate America to start our business. If you want to put the client first and truly be a fiduciary, which is a term that gets tossed around in our industry, but to be a true fiduciary, you need time. And in order to have time, you can't have somebody sitting over your shoulder asking what your numbers were today. Mm-hmm. And how much did you sell? And what Darrick described is if you're the hammer, everything looks like a nail. We've been there. We used to joke that if we didn't, sell somebody something in the first appointment, we were failures. And we realized we weren't going to make an impact with people's lives in this advanced planning unless we had the time to do it ourselves. And the rewards didn't come for a while, and it was very hard. But sticking to that process and putting the client in the center, all we have is our clients. That's the only way we make money. And if they do bad, we do bad. So it really ties us to the hip with them to take this journey together and to succeed together. And that takes time and a willingness to dedicate to the craft that we built.
I love that. And guys, could you maybe share like an example with me of a particular client? I mean, we don't have to name names or anything, but maybe an example of what it was like providing them the services, but then also establishing that human element, developing that relationship, and then really forging a successful relationship as a whole, both personally and professionally with a given client. Do you have an example you could share with us?
Well, I'll tell you, Ryan, for all of our clients, we go through a multi-step process that requires both us and the client to be very open with each other and expose what our biggest wants and our biggest fears are, and really where we're trying to move forward. I can tell you that, one client in particular, she recently moved down to Charleston. And while I was in Charleston, we did what we like to call a rediscovery meeting, which is really just spending some time together and making sure that we have a really clear understanding of who they are today. I don't know about you, Ryan, but I'm different today than I was 5 years ago and certainly 10 years ago. So as I was spending time with this particular client down in Charleston, it was very clear to me that her wishes had changed as it related to her estate planning. Now she's significantly older than I am. And she's, later on in life. And this is a primary focus of her conversation nowadays. And of course, because she'd been a client, I was very, very aware of, what she had already done as it related to her estate planning. And through that conversation, it was clear that those plans no longer expressed her wishes. And so we've worked really hard since then to re-clarify the goals of her estate planning, and are now going through the process of correcting some of the paperwork so that, when she does pass away, exactly what she wants to have happen will in fact happen.
Ray, what do you see on this front?
Yeah, I'll just add in, just as I look across our book of business and the best clients that Darrick and I have, they all started small and they built over a series of years. So Darrick's biggest client, I know he's talking about, he knows my biggest clients. One of my biggest clients, he's been with me for 10 years and it really just paid off in the last couple because I spotted the opportunity. I walked alongside this client to get them to retirement, and the payoff was in the assets that were at work. So, in many scenarios, again, going back to the way things used to be done, if you try to go for as much as you can right away, it doesn't work. So we're willing to put in the time and go through the process to get them what they want for a delayed, satisfaction, if you will.
Sure. And guys, kind of to bring our conversation to a head here today, really, I want to get your kind of overarching total final thoughts. I kind of want you to bottom line it for our audience at this point, what it truly means to be that elite wealth manager. We've talked about a lot of different facets and skills and character traits that should be incorporated within not only just the average Joe wealth manager, but then what truly makes a wealth manager elite. Could you bottom line it for us and then, kind of maybe walk me through how it is and why it is that you guys feel this way and go about your business like this at Monon?
Yeah, I will. Again, I'm going to go right back to that formula that we talked about, Ryan, and that is that being an elite wealth manager is a combination of fantastic investment management, very, very technically adept, advanced planning. But then what brings it all together is developing really powerful personal relationships with the clients and everybody else that's on the team. That's what makes wealth managers truly elite. I don't want to discount that investment management has to be excellent. Quite frankly, I spend the majority of every single day making sure that our clients are doing as well by their investments as they possibly can. I also spend a tremendous amount of time making sure that technically every single aspect of their advanced planning is right on point and that they're using the best in class and the most elite resources that we possibly can to accomplish their most important goals. But the only way that I can put all this together and really make it elite and personalized for that specific client and make sure that they're not missing out on any opportunities is by having a fantastic personal and professional relationship with them and really being able to view the world from their eyes. People talk about being a fiduciary. Well, in my world, the definition of being a fiduciary is viewing the world from the client's eyes and doing for them as you would do for yourself if you were in their shoes. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what Ray and I are working so hard to do every day. And clients should demand that from their wealth manager.
And Ray, what do you
think? I agree. Yeah, I agree completely. And I don't actually, he said that so well, I'm almost hesitant to add anything to it. But, for me, when I realize I'm doing a good job is if I'm meeting with a client for an hour, hour and a half, and we spend 5 to 10 minutes on the investments and we spend the rest of the time talking about their life and their goals. That to me tells me I'm doing a good job. If you have an investment advisor that you go to their office and you cringe because it's going to be an hour's worth of sales pitches and charts and earnings breakdowns, that's, to the average person, that's not important. The importance is how do they maximize the fun in their retirement, and are they going to run out of money? So, by focusing on that, that gives me a lot of confidence in our process to know that when people come in, they're asking us about every aspect of their life and to help them guide through it. And that's when I know that we're doing a good job.
Well, guys, look, I love today's conversation. Not only do we get to kind of hammer home what makes that elite wealth manager truly elite, but also we get the opportunity to kind of peel back the curtain, learn a little bit more about how you guys operate on a daily basis over at Monon and the types of efforts and traits that you pour into your relationships with clients. And then it's nice for you guys to also share some opportunities, to kind of look back really and get a sense of where things were when you first started and how really that the idea of incorporating the human element and making a true impact has really carried through the last 7 years for you guys. So look, I appreciate you taking the time this morning to kind of peel back that curtain, if you will. Looking forward to the next conversation already, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Nope. Absolutely. And hey, look, we want to thank you, our audience, our viewers, for joining us for today's show. If you liked what you saw, you liked what you heard, feel free to comment, subscribe, share this information with friends, family. The stress testing process, the wealth manager characteristics. These are great conversations that we have, new topics that we're going to hit each time we get together, and we'd love to have you aboard for the next one. So for Darrick Hutchins and Ray Kramer, I'm Ryan Ruff saying so long, and we thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Modern Wealth Management.